everybody, welcome back to the Valentine's edition of the Reaper Pro Tips with me, your host and disembodied hands, Quindy, our black Valentine, and disembodied beard John, and sometimes my innitrant puppy, who is currently sitting moping at the window looking at the bird feeder because her squirrel friend ran away. Hi, everybody. You really need a black heart, Quindy. You really need a black heart for you. Actually, Quindy, Overwatch is putting out a new patch for this week, and one of the animations for one of the characters is Reaper, except he has like a little white kind of like goth doll face paint on, and he's got a balloon, a heart balloon, and he's got a knife, and he's just like, and the balloon just goes. I thought of you. It was so goth. It was so very goth. Alrighty, let's get this crap together here. What are we doing? We're doing this. We will be... Oh, here. David is taking me out to dinner tonight. Our favorite restaurant, the one where we had our wedding reception, is having a prefix for Valentine's Day. So a prefixed menu, special menu, and we're gonna go and eat it all. Eat it all. Eat everything. That's my goal. I got through the MRI yesterday. Barely. Apparently the goop they feed you for gut imaging did not agree with my gut very much. Yeah, figure. So it was as bad as colonoscopy prep. It was terrible. Oh my god. All yesterday. It only stopped just in time for me to go to CrossFit, and I was so drained at CrossFit that Coach Andrew took one look at me and went, we're scaling for you today. Yeah, it was pretty bad. There's my palette. So yeah, I was exhausted, but I did CrossFit. I did it. I made myself go. I was like, you're going to feel better after you work out. And I was right. Because I just needed something to get my blood moving. It just always helps. There's a reason I work out. It hurts in the moment, but it feels so much better afterwards. There we go. But yeah, but I've mostly recovered. And our fridge is still broken. Although I did manage to get a repair person yesterday. And he's going to be back today. Actually, I have to end the stream right before 11 because his window is 11. And he was very prompt yesterday. So I want to make sure that I'm ready. And have the Kiki put back here before they come. Because, of course, she's like, I'm going to kill you. And I'm like, yeah, right. But she's very terrifying. She is sufficiently terrifying. If anybody tried to break into our house, she would probably convince them that she was going to eat them. Then she's fine after a bit. But yeah, she definitely... We got an 80% chance. He looked at it yesterday with his repair guy, and they're like, all right, here's the deal. You have two electronic parts here that are not communicating. It could be one, it could be the other. 80% of the time, when we replace this one, it fixes it. The other one's not available. So if it's the other one, you need a new fridge. But we'll replace this one, and we'll see. So, fingers crossed, 80% chance the fridge will get fixed today. Yeah, Kiki's a mighty defender. A mighty floofy defender. Shiloh's put on a good act. Our breed founder used to call them 45 caliber water pistols. Because they put on a very good act, but in the end, the heart of gold wins out, and it would take a very extreme situation, I think, for most Shilohs to actually hurt somebody. But they're good. They're very good deterrents. Not many people are going to mess with an 80-pound shepherd or a 120-pound shepherd, depending on what dog you have. People used to cross the street to get away from Leo when I was walking him, and even now, people cross the street to get away from Kiki, and she's not even that big. She's certainly not the biggest shepherd in the neighborhood. But yeah, so so that's on my docket for today. I'm hoping, which means I can't go finish my lab work today because they wanted to do it right after my stream, which is when I was going to go do my lab work. My last bit of health assessment crap is gonna get pushed off again. All right, let's do the gauntlet and the shoulder pad today. I like her. I like her so much. Hold on. Let's get her little eyeballs in focus so you can see the cool highlights. There's our cool highlights. You can see her little cool highlights. These eyes are big enough to do that color and the spot reflection. In general, 28 millimeter eyes I don't consider large enough to do this. So as I've mentioned before, like if we look at these and we look at the size comparison on the eye, you can see how we have a lot less room on your traditional 28 millimeter eye. I'd say Christine does this one, her eyes are actually kind of like, you know, like she's got her eyes slanted shut. But I would say Christine is kind of traditional. Now, like her bunny here is closer, right? Still not there, but closer. But that's about as big as you'll find a 28 millimeter eye, I think, as that bunny. And so you really don't have the room. You can see just from the size comparison, you don't really have the room to do the colored iris and the catch light. You can. There are ways around it. I mentioned those before. Essentially, if you enlarge your lining and you fill in then the whole eye that you normally would fill in with liner, you can artificially enlarge a 28 millimeter eye and give yourself just enough room to do catch light or maybe to do a hint of color in there. Or if you just have models with very, very tiny eyes, like Tom Meyer stuff from Dark Sword, or even Sandy Garrity stuff, where the eye is very round and you really want a little bit more width to it, like the old Reaper Sandy Garrity stuff. Derek Schubert used to do that. If Derek's in chat, I don't know if he's watching today. He doesn't always have time. But he honestly is the one who showed me that, where you just flood the entire socket with like white or white primer, and then you redraw the outline of the eye. So, yeah, it's the tail end of winter. Yep, tail end of winter is that season, isn't it? But yeah, so for most eyes you won't be able to do this, which is why picking up models like this can be nice, because it lets you practice this kind of eye, which you will be able to do when you get to like maybe 54 or 75 millimeter models, depending. A lot of 75s these days that I've run into they're scaling them more realistically, which means the eyes actually do shrink and the head size shrinks as you get bigger, which is proper. But if you're working on a very realistic, I don't really have a 75 sitting here, I guess I might. If you're working on a very realistic 75, then you might struggle. Let's grab our Bombshell 75. This is not a very realistic 75. This is, but even her eyes, look at how small they are compared. I did put color in her eyes. You can kind of see it. To see how much more the eyes on the Mousling stand out. Like the color in the eyes on the Mousling, you can see it, right? It really shows up. So even on a 75 millimeter, even though these eyes are close, but on a 75 millimeter with realistic proportions, you're just not going to get a lot of room. You can put the color in there, but don't assume that it's going to... And she's got catch lights in her eyes, too, which were difficult to do. So really, if you're looking to do colored irises and you want to have things show up, you're looking at maybe doing some Mouslings or some Chibis. Obviously, Chibis are made of huge eyes, but the Mousling figures are a pretty good size to practice on that way. But yeah, this lady, she has green eyes. You can kind of see the hint of color, but you can't really, really see it, right? And it was also really, really difficult to do the catch lights in her eyes because they were smaller. The Mousling made it easy, or relatively easy. But so I know a lot of people want to do colored irises, but you just, at 28, I don't consider them really feasible. They never turn out as well as I want them to. So you may have different mileage. You should always try something, but be aware that it's very difficult. All right, let's pop back, and I'm gonna grab we're gonna do her shoulder pad, which is gonna be silver, and her little gauntlet, which is gonna be silver. We need to do the hilt on her sword and highlight her little boots a little bit more, I think, and also her leather. We've got a couple of things to do on her still, so we'll just start with our silver and go from there. I wasn't very pleased with the bombshell one. I struggled with it a bit when we were doing it on paint along. It's still a decent paint along lesson, but I was annoyed at it enough at the end that I was just like, I'm not finishing the basing. This is what has driven me to like to be more picky about what models I put in the paint along, and to go smaller rather than larger, because we spent a lot of time on that model. It's very annoying to spend a lot of time on a model that you're really irritated at, because you have to, because you've committed to it as a paint along. So do cloudy gray. Let's do something fun. Let's, instead of doing blue like I usually do for that, let's do an indigo. Do I have... I don't know if I want to do rich indigo. Normally I would reach for my night sky, but I think that's hiding back here. Let's do a night sky indigo. Yes, when you do not have the dark line around the outside of the eyes, eyes can have the crazy eye look. The way you get around that Slayer is just like I put on the Patreon and it'll be on the YouTube soon, but the Fast Faces video shows you how to do eyes with no liner that still look okay. These are the easiest eyes. So if you're struggling with eyes and you're struggling with the lining around them and you just want to get an okay thing that will work at a distance for gaming models, that one. The fast faces. It's the only way I've found to do it without getting crazy eyes. Let's see. So let's put a little bit of this night sky indigo into our gray to keep it from being crazy. I'm just doing like half a drop, not even squeezing a full drop out before I drop it into my gray. There we go. It's like that. Yeah, the thing you do in the Fast Faces video is the secondary wash or layering under the brow ridge. So anybody who is not a patron, anybody who is a patron can go watch that right now, because it's on my public. Actually, I think if you're free level, I think anybody can watch it. It's just up there early. So if you go to my Patreon and you're not a patron, you should still be able to watch the Fast Faces video. And $2 patrons, I just put out the PDF for that yesterday with photographs. There we go. So we'll work with that color. Oh, bummer, Agent Marvel. Sad that you have sickos in your house as well. Yeah, it is the season, right? Alright. So I'm going to put a little bit more gray in there because that Twilight Indigo really pushed the color a little bit too much. If I feel like it gets a little bit too purpley, I can go back the other direction by adding a tiny bit of green to it. Green or teal. So if I take my shark bite, because I just have it on my plate, and I just get a little tiny bit on my brush, and I put it into this, I can go away from the purple a little bit, more toward a blue. The green in the shark bite will counteract the purple, the magenta pigment that pushes purple usually, and it will turn more neutral, more blue. So we'll work with that. And then I'm going to grab my gray liner. It's just hanging out here somewhere. There it is. Gray liner again, because it is not a high solids black. It has a lot more translucency to it. When you are trying to blend with NMM, having something that is not going to produce a lot of brush strokes because it's high coverage is good. So you don't want coverage when you're trying to do that. It's one of the many times you do not want coverage. Hey, Roger. I'm muddling along. Depends on if our refrigerator is deemed dead today. Then we'll see how I am. We will find out. Hopefully it's a really quick find out so that we can not be in limbo much longer. Because like I'm using my little travel, you guys remember the travel freezer that I bought for Kiki when we went to ReaperCon? That thing is keeping us alive right now. We have an ice box too. We have my OtterBox cooler and that helps, but you have to add ice to it every day. Whereas the mini fridge, mini freezer is just like chugging right along. But it's also, you know, it's a little thing. It's not really, it's supposed to be a portable temporary. It's not really supposed to be your main fridge. I'm going to mix a little bit of my gray into this just to bring it up a little bit and to give these guys more in common. If I feel like my gray is maybe a little bit light, I could also just do the reverse and just mix a little bit of gray liner into that. Just a little bit, so if I feel like it's getting too much, I'll rinse out my brush, then continue my mixing. But yeah, I was very happy that I had the mini fridge when the refrigerator started to die this past weekend. I told David I don't know if I'm going to be okay waiting until the weekend to fridge shop. I told him we may need to sacrifice an evening and if our fridge is dead and go to Lowe's. Because it's going to take time for them to deliver a new one anyway, so it's like we're already going to be waiting another who knows how many days. Although we did, we have another extra backup because we have the person who was in the house last installed one of those wine coolers. So we have like it for bottles, but it does have space on the bottom. And we can turn it down to white wine temp, which is I think around 44 or 45 degrees, which is essentially enough refrigeration for like almost anything but dairy. So we've been using our wine cooler, an OtterBox cooler with ice in it, and our temporary travel freezer refrigerator to offset the loss of our main fridge freezer. And we're super lucky that we put that extra freezer into the garage like I wanted, because that let us save all of our frozen food. Hey Hugh, long time no see. Yeah, it's just that when your main fridge goes out, it's just a pain. But we had all those backup devices, so we didn't lose anything except for the stuff that we just there was a lot of fridge stuff that we just didn't have room to move. Oh, I assume it's going to be much better than that. Because we live in the middle of tech land, unless there's been a great refrigerator shortage that I don't know of, it should be fine. The big thing for us is going to be finding one that fits, because our fridge goes into an alcove, which I think a lot of, it's not like built in, but there's a definite like dimensions that will fit there. So David's worry was just that it'd be hard to find a fridge to fit. I don't know about that because our fridge is pretty wide and there is extra height. Like there's extra room above it, though we need air ventilation, of course, but I think we'll be okay. Unless fridges have gotten noticeably larger in the 10 years since that one was purchased. Yeah. You could get a thermometer and pop it in there and, just a little one that you'd normally like use for a fish tank or something, and little stick-on ones. Pop it into your fridge and kind of look at the temp. Normally your fridge will tell you if its temp is getting too low, but it won't necessarily tell you if it's getting just slightly low. So our little mouse's gauntleted hand here. We'll get our gray over that. Although I think that maybe I'm a little bit too far with that, because I think there's still a fur cuff there on her wrist. We'll have to paint that. I'll have to go back in over that, because I wasn't sure if it was part of the gauntlet or not, but now that I'm looking at it, I think it's actually another fur cuff, so we'll have to repaint that. Hey, Davidware. But yeah, ours got so low it definitely started, well, first the control panel just started dimming and flashing, and then yeah, everything went downhill from there. So now it's like sitting there telling us, for temperature compromise, blah blah blah, temperature too low, blah blah. It's like, it's your fault it's too low, you silly refrigerator. We didn't do it. Alright, so we've got our shoulder pads and our little gauntlet base coated. And I want to get a little bit of, I'm going to grab some black to do that cuff just so I don't forget. I want just a little bit of pure black to get that cuff so I don't forget. And I'm just going to put a little pad on top of my palette, I think. Unless I guess I could use a little bit of liner around the handle there. Trying to get my black to come out. It's like, no! Clogged. Well and truly clogged, folks. Gonna have to push this all the way through. Let's get a little bit of pure black. There. Put some water in it. I just put a little one on my palette, a little drop of it north of my other colors. Like there. Yeah. It depends on how much, I think it depends on how much ice you're using, Twisted Oma, too. Sometimes if you're not using it fast enough, it'll just clog like that. And you have to keep an eye on it and just turn the ice maker off when the thing is full so it doesn't get over full. But ice makers in refrigerators are notorious for glitching. It's probably the most often broken thing in a fridge. Even ours has its moments where it freezes up. And we have to just open it, unload some of the ice, close it. Although ours is now, of course, maybe dead, but... But yeah, it depends on the fridge. You could also like look at, if you do Google, you just need to, there's probably somebody on Reddit talking about how to fix it or what to do to make it work. I found Reddit to be pretty good for getting a basic idea sometimes of what's going on. with appliances. All right. Is this like a terrain piece? I mean, it lets you designate different buildings, but I don't know, it depends on what you're doing. I tend to like more the uniform thing, like in Italy where you get a lot of those red tile roofs. You could have little bits of variance, but doing like different primary colors or really different bright colors, I don't know that would look all that good. I don't know, Shadow Raven. I thought what Christine told me at ReaperCon is that if you contact them, they usually can set you up. Like you might have to do a special shipping cost or something, but they'll work with you, is what Christine told me. I could pop in a quick question to her. Sometimes she pops into the... Hold on. Hold on. Asking if you ship to Canada. Maybe she'll get back to me. She usually is pretty fast on responses. Yeah, they've got tribes. I just made a post on my Patreon yesterday about that. She just put that model up for free if you join her tribe. But if you don't have a 3D printer, I don't think Shadow Raven does, then your options are more limited. I don't know. I don't find the idea pleasing, but that's just me, Mac Attack. Like, if you look around you at various houses, it's usually not the shingles that are painted. Probably because, with the types of... I guess the two wooden shingles are a little bit different, but... It's up to you. If you like the idea, do it. Just because I don't think it sounds very, pleasing. It would be fun, but... I guess I would put colors on different parts of the houses, but if you want to do roofs, do it. Doesn't matter. Well, I asked her, so we'll see, Shadow Raven. But I do remember asking her this, I think at ReaperCon or shortly thereafter, and her saying that, I think when I was considering doing Moonlight for this, I asked, and she said that they'll work with people on it. I mean, it's just that shipping is international shipping can be so expensive, right? So they're not big enough to offer like a flatline rate for international shipping, so they have to do it on a case by case. Yeah, I mean, the materials too matter, what you're going to be using. Because if you are using wood for your roof, you need to have it sealed in some way, right? Otherwise, wood tends to absorb. Paint will do that to a point. I don't know. Have you typed into a Google search on were wooden shingles painted? Maybe they were. Maybe they look cool. Hold on. Yes, they were treated with colors for decorative purposes, including gray, red, brown, gray, red, and brown. Linseed oil, pitch pine coating, and brick dust minerals were used to protect the wood. So the pine pitch would be black, and linseed oil tends to be a brown, and brick dust is reddish. So that would be, you can prime and paint new shingles nowadays. And it's cedar shingles they're talking about. Most people use stain these days. But in old times, people use cedar. I mean, I'm seeing cedar, especially modern day. A lot of people, a lot of places have cedar shingling, but usually on the walls. Like usually it's that East Coast style, that Cape Cod style, maritime look. That's got those. But if you're talking about actual roofing shingles, just bare wood. Yeah, you can stain them. If you're going to paint or stain them, it says you do it right away. Because otherwise you have to, treat the wood, and you have to make it actually ready. After a while of weathering, it won't be as receptive to being painted. Oh, yeah. Yeah, painted timbers and plaster is pretty. I think that's a lot more common than roof shingles. I mean, the old traditional way was you had natural plaster in like a white or an off-white or beige, and then you did darker timbers. But I'm sure nowadays it's all over the place, and even back then there were probably variation. So I'm just essentially coating the little knob of the handle that she's holding in her hand, guys, so that I can get some contrast on this when we start doing the NMM. I'm going to shade in that area right under her hand. I mean, yeah, it's much more common to introduce color on like trim and timbers than it is to introduce color on actual like roofing, as far as bright color goes. I suspect that Mac is talking about like making a little medieval village type of thing for a battle table. Is that what you're on, Mac? So alright, so now we have to figure out where our shadows are going and where our highlights are going. When you look at it, you can see her shadow cast over the top of the pauldron here. So except out near the edges, we're not really going to get much cast light there. We're more going to get just the bounce light or the light catching on the little rivets here in the outer edges of these plates. On the back, it's the same thing. Her head casts a shadow close to by, so we're mostly going to hit these outer areas. Yeah, I mean, exactly what Agent Marvel says. It really doesn't matter. If that's what you want to do it. If it looks like Technicolor, like, barf when you're done, or when you're, like, a little way through, then decide not to do it, you know? It doesn't really matter. I mean, do what you want to do. It's your project. If you think it'll be fun to have multicolored roofs in your village in pastel colors, then do it. We don't care. Just do what makes you happy. Alright, now let's make some lighter colors so that we can highlight this. I'm going to grab my gray again. I'm going to mix it with white. I'm going to mix in a little bit of my my base purpley gray that I have here. Right. Kyle figures out how it makes sense. Hey, I just texted you, Moonlight. Shadow Raven wanted to know if you ship to Canada. Because he's, I think, probably maybe asking about my paint along, but maybe not. Whatever the case. I wasn't sure about Canada because shipping tends to be a little bit, like, less exorbitant to go there, or at least it used to. So I wasn't sure if you ship there. I know you said you tackle international typically on a case-by-case when I asked you about it. Yes, if you want your buildings to be pink with purple spots, go for it. That's kind of my point. It doesn't really matter. It's easy to look up what people did historically, but if you don't want to do that, then don't do it. Who cares? Oh, man. Why are you using Instagram? Miniatures done. Ah, okay. Alright, so Shadow Raven, message Moonlight. What's the easiest way to hit you up directly? Is your email on your site? No, don't tell Luca you're sorry. Never tell. Isn't that one of the rules of the world? Never tell Luca you're sorry. Quindy, isn't that true? I thought I heard that. Christine at Moonlight. So there's Shadow Raven. Christine at moonlightminis.com. Send her an email. She will set you up. Because Christine is awesome. Even if she forgets to talk to Luca. Oh, other people can say sorry to Luca, just not Quindy. Yep, I've stopped working. I'm reading chat because it's more entertaining. Actually, I'm mixing up a highlight color for my NMM. There we go. So we're taking some of our purpley color here. And we're mixing it into this lighter color. And we're going to mix up a pure white. And we're going to go at getting this silver NMM or steel NMM done. Quindy, hey baby, by the way. Jeez. Oh, Lord. Luca. I have many years of practice in throwing people under the bus, Luca, because I worked at Reaper. It's part of official work doctrine that you be ready to throw somebody else under the bus at a moment's notice. I could go so far as to say that's in the employee handbook. Or it used to be. I don't know. Reaper's got more corporate. I don't know if it's as much fun anymore. Other people want to say sorry to him, just not you. Yes. Yeah, but if she wants you to email, I usually tell people to email. I hate like having to go on different messengers to talk to people for business stuff, especially because I use my email as a to-do list. I keep trying to tell my dog people that, and they just don't get it. They're all like, email? What? I'm like, you people. Alright, so we're just going to put this slightly lighter color a little bit here on the edge. We're going to hit the rivet. Remember, her head is like a shadow over most of this pauldron, so we're not going to hit that. We'll put a darker shadow in there in a moment. Mostly we're going to kind of have reflected light down here. We could put a little bit of lighter, like lantern light right like down here. It's at the right angle for the lantern to hit, and the metal would be more likely to show the lantern glow, even in like, you know, afternoon light. Facebook is fine too, but email is better. Good to know. Yeah, usually with you, when I'm sending stuff, it's just informal. So I do not email. More fan fiction. More foot fan fiction. Footy fan fiction. Noosh. Yeah. If you send me a message on Facebook, you will maybe notice it 7 months later. That's me! Yep, Quindy. Yep. Ah, Luca Malfine. Now whose .exe program isn't functioning, huh? I can be all spicy today. I went through hell yesterday. Plus I'm claustrophobic, so on top of all the gut upset, the MRI just makes me like close my eyes and like do box breathing for 45 minutes to not panic about the fact that I'm in a tiny tube. Pity the programmer is drunk, yeah. And has been for years. There's a couple of hells. I thought there was a hell in Canada too. Maybe not. Maybe that was just for just Mystery Science Theater. Hell is in Canada? I don't even remember which movie that was. It may have been the MST3K movie, the first one. Alright, so we're just going to bring up this light, and then we will... hello, Stronghold D&D. Nice to meet you. Yeah, the Mouslings are cute. I mean, they are really... And this one actually is a really fun, nice sculpt. I like this sculpt because unlike a lot of chibi models where I find that the details kind of suffer and get kind of muddy beneath the head, like especially on the legs, this is all very crisp, which I really enjoy. But yeah, these are good models. So we'll do the white highlight kind of, or near white under highlight first, then we'll maybe take some of our lantern color and we'll pop it up into that area and onto this little scabbard as well, so that we can have a little bit of OSL, even though most of it really wouldn't show up in a daylight model. So there's a hell in Michigan. Michigan's close to Canada. Alright, so let's continue. I'm going to grab... I'm going to get these little rivets. I usually just do a pure white highlight on the rivets, because like the light's going to hit them, but you're not really going to get a sense of color off of something this small. You're just going to get the sense of the brightness, the reflection of the light. So usually we'll paint them in dark, like I did here, and then putting the white highlight on the top means the rivet is outlined and will appear separate. I wonder if when things go wrong, like the residents all pretty much look at each other, shrug, and say, well, we do live in hell. Alright, now with my lighter gray, again, we're just going to kind of look at where our shadows are. I will bring my shadow color in and get close to her, under her chin there on this in a moment. It is Wednesday. It is Alpaca Day, isn't it? My time sense has been thrown off by not being on yesterday. Lately, I feel like there's just been so much disruption in my stream schedule. And there's going to be more since I'm going to visit my parents toward the end of this month. So next week, Thursday, Friday, I will be going to visit Mom and Dad. Hopefully, where it's very warm. I see you guys have some like 79-degree days coming up in Arizona, green users. I'm jealous. I hope it's that warm when I'm there. So I want to bring in the light here too. Yeah, February is my usual month to go visit my parents since I don't see them otherwise the rest of the year usually unless I can get to Wisconsin in the summer. But I hate going to Wisconsin, so I'd much rather go to Arizona, which is a state I actually would consider living in. Although going to Wisconsin means I get to see my brother and his family, which is the only reason I go. Yeah, well, at least if it's in the 70s, it's better than here, which is like 58, 60. Very windy today, and we might get some rain this afternoon. I would love 75. I would love 75. And it's still a week out, right? So we don't know what the weather forecast has been switching around a lot lately, at least where I am. So I'll have a better look at it when we get closer to next week. Just trying to hit the snowing where you are. Sorry, Shadow Raven. That's Canada for you. That's why I don't live in the north. That's why I moved away from the north, and I do not regret it. So we're just going to bring up a little bit of highlight right here on the little top of this shoulder pad. I'm not making it go all the way back. Her ear is there, so we kind of get a natural shadow. Yeah, I'm looking forward to going down to warm weather. I really would love it to be in the 70s. Could go out and take my walk in nice warm weather with the desert mountains in the background. I always love that. I do like deserts, I cannot lie. Alright, so we've got a little bit of the highlight coming down the side of the pauldron here. It's rounded, so we're going to get that cylindrical effect. This side of the pauldron is kind of buried into like the side of her body, so that's why I'm kind of bringing my brighter highlight out here along the side, going up and down this way. A little bit of a stylistic choice rather than necessarily a realistic choice, but sometimes with 28mm you do that to make it look right. Now let's get Destry's green. Yeah, because you guys got rain. You need to make it to ReaperCon. Go out in the Texas desert. Go horse riding, and there are places that sell plenty of Western hats. Although personally, if for pure prettiness, I would choose either Arizona, parts of Arizona, or New Mexico. I'm a fan of New Mexico. You could still get cowboy hats in those places. You bought it in Texas last year. Nice. Okay, yeah, Luca's channeling his inner cowboy today. All right, I'll go look at that. Although I probably can't because I have to get off. I have to get off stream a little bit, tiny bit earlier today, because our refrigerator repairman is maybe showing up right at 11. So somebody else will have to screen cap it and put a picture on my Patreon, my Discord, so I don't miss it. All right, a little bit of more bright highlight over here. Let's get our shadow in, because you can highlight your NMM all you want, but if you don't have your shadows in the right places, it will not appear shiny. The Goatman Bridge is like right near Reaper, as I recall. All right, I need to thin this dark color a little bit more. It is just too thick to give me a good gradient. I never wanted a Stetson, but I always wanted one of those cool hats that Indiana Jones wears. I tried on a long, long time ago when I was at Universal Studios in, I think it was in Florida. They had like the Indy replica hats, and I tried one on. It actually looked really good on me, and I was like, I wish I had the $80 to buy this hat. Every once in a while, a hat will look good on me. I'm always so surprised when it does. Never thought I was a hat person when I was a kid. So we're getting that shadow mocked in there. Tilly Fedora, yeah. Didn't know it was a Tilly Fedora. I like Tilly. They're a good company. Alright, let's put in a shadow going down behind our highlight over here, where that ear is dropping, that ear is overhead. About a half mile. Yeah, half mile away from Reaper, yep. That's what I thought. Wasn't that far from Reaper, the Goatman Bridge. Just gonna put a band of dark back here. I'm gonna blend it in with my base. Go. So we got our shadow or highlight. We have beastmen. They're goatmen. Just trying to get that upper. The problem here is that there's so little room between the hair and the top of the pauldron. It's I'm having to struggle with it between making sure there's a nice demarcation between those two things and making the highlight strong. So now that I put that shadow in, this looks a lot more convincing, and we're going to work on it a little bit more. I thought the Goatman story was actually a pretty terrifying story. Rather than fun. That's just me, and I'm not a big horror fan. Yeah. Yeah, Kingdom Death stuff can be so tiny and hard to work with paint wise. Just bringing in that black line there so I can get a separation between the pauldron and the hair. Now I've got that nice line around there, keeping everything crisp. Yeah, the Mousling, relatively speaking, is pretty simple because everything is so large, right? So it makes it easier. To get what you need to, to make things look correct. I'm gonna edge the edge of the pauldron in white. I see. Spooky stuff versus horror. Yeah, for some reason I thought because I did look into the Goatman story once just because I was curious, and I remember thinking it was pretty horrifying. Maybe I'm misremembering. Oh, I hear a Kiki clacking around in there. What are you getting into, Keeker? She's like, nothing. Nothing. Carefully puts away the thing she's got that she's not supposed to have. There we go. So a little bit of a line of white around there. I'm going to carry that up to here. Make my white a little bit more poppy. All right, my gray went from too thick to not thick enough. Very annoying. Yeah, I can't watch Thriller. I actually can watch, like, some horror more easily than thrillers, because thrillers tend to be very realistic violence, and that turns me off. The more realistic it is, the more I'm a nope. So I can watch movies with scary scenes in them, like Aliens, as long as it's all like science fiction or fantasy enough. I could even watch parts of Pan's Labyrinth, and that movie is terrifying. But I couldn't watch all of it. Because there were definitely still, like, yeah, I don't know. That's a scary ass movie. Yeah, I don't like jump scares. Probably need to brighten up. This is my white on there. I didn't put as bright a white on my sword, so I'm going to need to up the white on that edge on the sword to make it work. Oh, I just hide. I just leave the room if there's a jump scare. I just don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy being scared. I nope out of that discomfort pretty darn fast. Using the edge of my brush to like line around, bring my pure white back in a little stronger on the sword so that it is as bright as the pauldron. I don't watch TV or many movies anymore, Hugh, so I'm not desensitized. Even as a kid, I didn't watch TV or movies very much, so I never got desensitized in the first place to like things like violence and suspense and things like that. So which I'm actually kind of happy about. It means I have movie roles and things I just won't watch, but I don't watch stuff. I prefer to read. These days. Oh, when you turn on Pan's Labyrinth. Oh my gosh. Definitely not a kid's movie, Quindy. So you just like, hi Blue Nine. Yeah, you're just trying to desensitize yourself then, Hugh. Yeah, different. I just avoid this stuff. If I don't enjoy it, I'm not sitting there and way too jumpy for jump scares. Oh. Yeah. Gonna bring my white in a little bit here. Make it push it a little bit there. To get the shine effect, I'm gonna bring my dark out a little bit more. I think the movie that made me like as a kid was just like I watched Jaws really when I was really little, and there was definitely at least one jump scare in Jaws where the shark comes looming up out of nowhere, and you're just like, my little kid self was like, nope, out of that super fast. And then I just decided I didn't like that kind of thing, which is a shame because like, it means that I really like Cthulhu Mythos stuff, but I can't watch most Cthulhu Mythos stories because they're just, by inherent nature, they're too scary for me. Can't do it. Don't enjoy it, even though I love the Mythos stuff. So that's kind of a sad, but... You just weren't prepared for it, Quindy, yeah. Yeah, I knew you watched a ton of horror. I still get scared to go in the ocean. You better bet when I went snorkeling with David out in deeper water that I was looking all over for things with teeth coming to eat me, because that's what the ocean does. The ocean lulls you into a false sense of security, and then it sends something to eat you. This is what I've learned. Or it bludgeons you with a giant wave you weren't expecting and, like, tries to drown you. This is the ocean. This is my relationship with the ocean. Oh, yeah, Hugh. Yeah. Oh, funny. Yep. Yes, the ocean craves murder. Exactly. It's a bloodthirsty place. And every time I go into it, I regret it. Sadly, David does not realize that the ocean is really just secretly trying to murder him. He persists in seeing it as, something fun. And I'm like, you're playing into its hands, man. It's gonna get you one day. He doesn't believe me, though. Thinks I'm just, like, irrational about water. That's good for you, Agent Marble. You can swim in the ocean. You just go, okay? But I have a belief that the ocean is secretly sentient and plotting my death, and I'm just gonna hang on to that belief. I don't mind. I'll just have that. It'll just be one less way to die by the fact that I'm not letting myself go in there. That scary, scary place. Although David did get me to snorkel in Hawaii, but it was really shallow. And I didn't see any sharks or barracudas. Or other things with big teeth. Yeah, that's programming. Man, I've had just enough bad experiences. I told you guys when David got me to snorkel on the Big Island, and my dad found out he'd talked me into going in without a life vest. He was like, "What were you thinking?" And I was like, "Yes, I was terrified. I was almost hyperventilating. I was so terrified, but I just didn't. I wanted to man up or woman up in front of my husband, so I didn't I tried it." I have this part of me that wants to test and face my fears, but often I find that part pushes me too fast, too quick. Oh, jeez. Well, we know, but you're across the ocean, so you're like double bad, Luca, okay? Because in order to actually get close enough to be terrified of you, I would have to actually cross all that scary water. So it's double bad. It's just double bad. Luca is more likely to bite than a shark. Does Luca show up in like those statistics, like dogs and beings most likely to bite? Is Luca on that list? Sharks, chihuahuas, Luca. You don't get on boats unless they have an arcade game. Yeah. Yeah, if Luca's more likely to bite than the sharks, then maybe he'd make it safely, right? The sharks would be too scared of him. Alright, let's get some yellow and see if we can put a little bit of yellowy orange glow on here. Just a tiny touch because it's metallic. As I mentioned, normally when I'm painting a mini as if it's in normal daylight, I'm not going to do any OSL because the lantern is nowhere near bright enough. You have a bigger nose than a shark, so you're their king. But sharks don't have feet. You wouldn't enjoy being their king. Are you not into mermaids, Luca? Because they don't have feet? I just realized that. I'm like, wait, mermaids don't have feet. There are all sorts of really good mermaid models out there these days, but maybe Luca doesn't paint them because they're not sexy because they don't have feet. Where's my other pokey tool? This pokey tool is compromised. Luca should not be included. You might develop a fin fetish. Not be included in the biting statistics as a significant outlier. Oh no. Alright, so I'm doing about equal amounts of candlelight yellow and sunrise orange. So candlelight has a bit of white in it, so it's going to take us a little lighter. That's what I was using for a lot of the yellow in our lantern here. I'm going to thin it down because I just want a little bit of it. So I'm going to do... there we are. There's my equal amounts. I'll probably, almost definitely need 2 drops of water for this. There are 2 drops of paint, so I'll go 1 to 1 for first, and I'll probably need to thin it more, because really what I'm going to be doing is glazing this color over some of the reflected light, bounce light, on my nearby metal elements, NMM elements. So When you've got a really translucent color, then you can get away with a 1-to-1 glaze, but when you've got anything stronger, and weirdly that does apply to orange and yellow, you usually need more water. Our dwarf mermaid's a thing. I guess fins like evolved into feet, so I guess it's just primordial foot fetish at that point. But then Luca, did you see, have you been following Patrick Masson's bronze stuff that he's been doing, his bronze cast? That he's, David bought one because Masson's is one of his favorite sculptors. So we were actually getting a Patrick Masson's bronze. But he sent me a picture, a link of a foot. We're gonna do this to Luca. We're gonna subject Luca to this. So, his Instagram. This is the sculpt. There you go, Luca. There you go. Very classical foot, but very well sculpted. So he's assembling the bronzes now. Is it a male foot? So you can tell, huh? Hold on, let me find the pictures. Pretty sure that he sent me a different picture of it too. Or maybe it was an email. Yeah, I think it must have been an email. Oh well. Let me see. I'm going to just spend a little... There we go. Oh yeah. So this is the piece. It's a reflection, so it's actually a double... It's a double arc, double moon, essentially, with a figure, and it's on the sides so that like she's reaching out and getting her, and there's a reflection of her. Fairly, let me see if I can kind of... I think it's going to be about a 14-inch. It's a smaller bronze. The male foot disgusts you. See, I think the anatomy is really enjoyable. So yeah, so it goes like that. But it's really cool. Let me see. Yeah, I can't tell well how well sculpted the women's feet are. They've got that cool like discoloration because they've been welded. I love the color shift on hot metal. I totally do. But yeah, it's neat. It's a cool piece. You are a depraved. Yeah, I mean, you have super picky tastes, huh? Super picky. See, I just enjoy, I enjoy looking at anatomy when it's well sculpted just because I personally struggle with really realistic anatomy. So, as far as, when I try to sculpt or draw it, in drawing class, it's, hands and feet are so difficult. There we go. So, some light there. You have refined tastes. I don't know if I buy that. I don't know. Alright, so let's glaze over this. I don't know. I think some of us take Deprived Ape to a whole new level. So I'm going to put some of this yellow here. And the problem is, putting it inside here, obviously there would be light in here, but because no actual light is falling in here, doing any OSL is kind of a waste. You're just not going to see it. So I'm just putting in a little bit of yellow here. We'll get down here. There. And a little bit under here. It's just going to be little touches, but it's about all you can rationalize. Like I said, when you look back here, there's just nothing, it's all shadow. It's all natural shadow. So you can't, unless you're going to put an LED in here, you're just not going to get any light down in that shadow. So it's a waste of time to try to do anything in there. You're an ape wearing a top hat. Yeah, I'm not, I like Patrick's work. It's really naturalistic, but I'm not as big a fan as David. David's a big fan. But the bronze is pretty, so I've wanted the bronze. The biggest disappointment I have, actually, is that I wanted to put the bronze outside, and David wants it to stay inside. Because I would like it to get, like, a patina, like, right? And it's going to get that outside. But he doesn't want it. He doesn't want it to put outside. So I'm like, He's like, somebody could walk off with it. I'm like, honey, it's going to be like 200 pounds of bronze. You know, it's very difficult to walk off with an art bronze. They're kind of heavy and kind of unwieldy. If anybody's going to try to, like, walk off with anything, I would expect them to break in and steal our laptops before they would walk off with a bronze. There we go. Bucket of salt and water at it once a week. I've got a spray bottle. I can be more refined than that, Luca. I can do a spray bottle and spritz it. And then David's going to, like, throw a fit and ask why his bronze is all green. Oh, we're at the time where I have to sign off. All right, well, so we didn't get to the gauntlet. We got the other stuff. We got a little bit of yellow put in back here, so that looks nice. Harder pun too. No, David won't let me. He wants it inside. Oh, have been doing it and melting him down for scrap. All right. Well, fair, green users. Then I'll bow to my husband's ideas on as far as keeping our bronze safe. Thanks everybody. Thanks for coming along. Even Luca. I'm handing off the stream a little early because Repair Dude is coming, so I gotta get Kiki out real quick and get some stuff cleaned up. Thank you. Thanks. Yes, you take care too, Luca. We'll see you around. Have a good stream, okay? Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Quindy. Good luck with Luca. Bye-bye.